Hey, and welcome to another episode of Health and Safety Unplugged. I'm your host, Matt Jones, and today we are fortunate enough to be joined by Phil Dager, a shareholder and investment in Checkmate, a business and a tool that is revolutionizing the modern workplace. So, Phil, welcome to this show.
Thanks, Matt. Nice to be here, mate. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, right. You're welcome. It's really nice to well, one, finally meet, and two, also have the opportunity to let the world know what Checkmate's been up to as well over the last few years. I've been fortunate enough to know and watch Checkmate's development over the last 4 or 5 years. Yeah, I think it's well due time that we shine some light on what the product's up to. So, Phil, before I start rattling on, how about we give you an opportunity to introduce yourself and to perhaps let the audience know a little bit more about you?
Sure. Yeah. So, yes, I spent the vast majority of my career in the wine industry. So, quite a different industry, obviously with a big health and safety component. So, I was a shareholder and board member of a company called Interval, which a lot of people may not have heard of, but it's actually the biggest wine producer and biggest exporter in New Zealand. And they recently purchased Villa Maria, so that's probably
Right.
all that claims to fame. So a really big scale operation, hundreds of staff. And I guess being a director of that business, I was involved for 16 years until I sold out just pre-COVID, actually. And being a director of that business really turned my attention to health and safety as a topic because, particularly as a director, you're very aware of your responsibilities and obligations around it. But I guess there was always a really uneasy feeling for me of, do you really know? How can you really know? And so I became aware of Checkmate and just pre-COVID. And the thing that intrigued me about Checkmate then, when I was an observer of the business, not a shareholder, was it was founded by someone who owned a big hardware store in national chain, right? And there's two of them, so you can probably guess this one or the other. And he founded or came up with the idea because he felt like I felt, which was, hey, am I exposed here? Am I actually taking as many steps and doing as much as I can
Um,
to proactively manage critical risks? And so he developed it for himself, not to sell. And I think that to me spoke of the authenticity of what it was about. And so when the opportunity came up in 2020, I think it was, or thereabouts, to become an investor of the business and help to commercialise it, it was a really a no-brainer for me. I related to it, I liked it, and I could see the potential for what it could do.
Nice. Yeah, it's quite a unique story in a way in terms of identifying the issue and then trying to plug the gap themselves rather than, and this is what we see in the market time and time again, is also whiz bang products flooding the markets and not necessarily answering the issues that they claim to be resolving. So in terms of your experience at that level, what were some of the chief concerns? What were the things that were kind of keeping you awake at night, if you could kind of pinpoint some of that unease that you were experiencing?
Well, I think, if you think about the Health and Safety at Work Act in particular, it talks about proactively identifying and managing critical risks, essentially, rather than just the old school version of health and safety, which was please record when things go wrong. And I think, so for me, as a senior guy in a business and a director of a business, it was really just that sense that we've got to do the right thing by our people. And we're actually doing as much as we can. And I think when you really think about the ways that we have traditionally managed critical risks in businesses, it's paper-based. And so, you literally are in the realms of pulling an A4 lever arch folder off a shelf and looking at cheat sheets. Well, have they actually been done? Have they been done as well as they could have? Are we creating an environment where we can react and deal with issues quickly? And the answer is no. I mean, it's real. And so, for me, laying awake at night waiting for that problem to occur, it's just not a nice way to be. And certainly, having now been involved with Checkmate for a few years, talking to other business owners, I call it the data golf test, that I want to go and play golf on a Saturday morning, or rather in rest from a busy week, for example, and they can't relax because they just, they're winning. So I think for me, that's the difference that this has made, both the businesses I see and businesses I've been involved with, is it just closes the loop.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
And so that transition between or from paper-based to electronic reporting, what are some of the what are some of the challenges that are associated with that, and also what are some of the upsides to evolving into electronic reporting?
Pretty interesting. I think, what we see in the Checkmate business when people evolve from paper to a digitized cloud-based model is it's like anything in life and in business, it's a change. And so the degree to which we can communicate well and have good change management processes in place to help people come on the journey with you really determines the degree to which it's accepted easily and early. So, that's just your kind of your basic, which applies to anything, not just digitisation, health and safety, but anything in business. And I think when I was first being involved with this business, I met a lovely fellow who owned a chain of ITN stores.
Mhm.
And I think he said, I asked him about it. It's a pre-investment actually. What's it been like for you? And he said, look, health and safety has gone from something that we all loved to hate. It was a must-do, and we didn't like it. It's now something we've embraced and we see it as an exciting and positive part of our day. So I think that to me, I guess the other part of to answer your question another way is I often think about trusting the process. So this is different. It might, there's a little bit of niggle involved and there's some change involved because people kind of, struggle sometimes with it. But over time, a digitized platform is so much more dynamic, so much easier to use, creates so many better outcomes for people that if you just stick to it long enough, and I'm thinking, when I say long enough, I'm talking 4 to 6 weeks here, you start to see employees enjoying the process, employees, the reporting culture going through the roof because people know that stuff's going to get escalated automatically and be resolved quickly. If just sort of kind of sharp as that, and people will know it.
Yeah, awesome. That's a great tagline, which I have to stick down. But yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Like from my own experience, where we've got organisations that are still very much paper based, often being driven by one individual within the business. There is no consistency in the feedback loop. So if you're lucky enough that someone completes one of those forms in the first place, well done. But the issue is the information tends to not actually go anywhere, and there's no improvements made, and the person that made the report probably doesn't even know anything's actually happened as a result. So are you finding, in terms of the use of Checkmate, is that some of the feedback that you and the team are getting from some of your customers?
Specifically around closing the loop, you mean?
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, look, like it's an embarrassment of riches in terms of stories. That we get literally weekly people, passing on feedback about how it's improved the process for them. And I think, it's basic stuff. It's like, what I heard recently was a company with a delivery van. They were doing a vehicle check. The vehicle check identified an issue with a tyre. The most basic of things. It was escalated automatically, signed off, approved, resolved within 90 minutes.
wow.
And in the old days, they were saying, this was something you write like post-it note, you stick it on the guy's warranty, and you bring it. We're losing days of productivity as well.
Yeah.
So, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got me thinking about some recent cases in the news as well. So, one in particular where a company was prosecuted because of a faulty handbrake on a forklift. The employee, unfortunately, stood in the way of the forklift as it began to roll backwards. He tried to stop it from rolling, and unfortunately it crushed him, leading to lifetime injuries, all because of a faulty handbrake. Arguably, there's possibly a post-it note sticking on someone's office notice board right now about that faulty handbrake, right?
Absolutely. And I think, we talk in business all the time, whether it's about health and safety or financials or performance reporting, that what gets measured gets managed. And all we're doing here is shining a light on the numbers and the measures that matter.
Indeed.
making sure that we're having really positive conversations about dealing with these things. And,
Mm.
without wanting to jump too far ahead, one of the ways that Checkmate helps with that is it has a near-field device tag which sits on the critical risk asset that must be checked. In
Mm.
most cases, that tag has a red or a green flashing light.
Mhm.
So it's incredibly obvious, even if you haven't looked at the dashboard or you haven't checked your alerts,
Mm.
it's flashing red, it needs to be looked at.
Yeah.
Um, funnily enough, I was walking through a New World supermarket yesterday with my son, getting some supply for Sunday tea, and I had Checkmate tags behind the dealer.
Mm.
And, one of them was flashing, the one that did have the flashing lights flashing green, and my 15-year-old, he sort of, look, they're under control type thing.
Nice.
So it's pretty obvious there.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great example too, right? Because I find that and we'll certainly go into the details of Checkmate in a moment, but it's actually a very democratizing tool. I mentioned earlier, like that there's often the case, and I still see it, where there's a real key person dependency in many organizations where you've got one or two individuals who are taking care of health and safety, and everyone else just simply turns to them when it's a health and safety related matter or action. But with this tool, it means that everyone has the ability to do these checks and then to also have confidence that those checks have been done using the LED system. So perhaps it would be a good time to jump into what Checkmate is and how it works.
Yeah, sure. So look, in really basic terms, any asset that poses a critical risk to a business, to its staff, its customers, its contractors, whomever, needs to be proactively managed so that we're proactively on top of the critical risks that these things pose. So, as we've said before, typically, in the old view of the world, there was a process around that. So
It
it's
is.
usually a piece of paper. So someone knows it's Monday morning, for example, and to use your story from before, I have to take the printed sheet, go to the forklift, check all the things on the checklist, and then, sign it and put it in a file, which is a static system. It's easily fudged. Half the time, you do question whether they've actually visited the asset at all or just check the boxes, because there's no real way of telling that. And so that's the thing that Checkmate has dealt with. And so fundamentally, it's very basic. So it relies on a near-field device tag called short tag that sits on any critical risk asset or any critical risk area in a business. Typically, it has an LED light flashing red or green to show whether the asset's been checked within its limits or within its timeframes or not. Simply, you walk up to the tag with a mobile device, iOS or Android, touch the tag. Up comes a checklist for the specifically customized for the asset itself. It's a simple yes/no, usually yes/no system. Is the handwriting for working a little bit, for example, use your story from before.
Yeah.
Is the oil working? Are the tires start to scratch? All those normal things. If there's a non-compliance, or if there's a requirement in that check to prove that we are compliant, we will set the checklist out to automatically require the user to take a date and timestamp photo of the issue. So this is the fault, date and timestamp, absolutely unfungible, completely verifiable. We use it in places where, for example, people have to show that they've removed trip hazards or they've stored hazardous chemicals correctly, in which case the app will force you to take a photo to show that it's been done in the way that it needs to be done. And then I guess, so that's the simple operation of Checkmate. At a high level, we have a dashboard. So you've got real-time recording of compliance issues, performance. Whether you're a manager or a business owner, you can kind of look at that stuff. We've recently installed Checkmate for Hancock's, the liquor distributor, for example. That control their national DCs from Auckland. So you can see live in real time how compliant are we, how all the checks being done. Well, I think what we see off the back of that are really positive changes over time, because it's not a punitive thing, it's a visibility thing. So, if you're in charge of health and safety in that particular example, and you see that checks haven't been performed on time, but a phone call of encouragement to the person that's responsible for the checks helps them to go on task. But also just reinforces gently that there is accountability and visibility across all of this. So what we typically see over time is that the compliance rates improve dramatically because of that.
Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant. That's so good. And then, so in terms of those faults, so when in those moments where there's an issue identified, is there an email escalation or notification process?
Yeah, email or text actually. Yeah, and typically, and that's pre-configured. So there's no one size fits all for these things. And sometimes these processes change, and we can do that. So yes, absolutely. There's an ideal by escalation path with approvals and service levels within that too. So it's always I sometimes think of it as enforced best practice.
Yeah, excellent. No, that sounds fantastic. And then in terms of the checklists themselves, so I imagine that there's an unlimited in terms of the questions and the information that's required.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's like completely configurable. And I guess, we now have 200 sites around New Zealand using this. We're performing 1 million checks a year or more than 1 million checks a year now. So oftentimes we can share knowledge that we're doing across various industries to help create checklists that are really relevant and potentially more relevant and more effective than what you previously considered for your business. So there's a little of that. But I guess the other beauty of it too, from if you've got a distributed business across different geographical locations, we can enforce the same standard across each of those sites. So you can have consistency of process, customizable. Yeah, so
fantastic. That's really, really neat. I mean, I'm already kind of picking up some clear differences for Checkmate versus other comparable tools and solutions out there. If you were put in the hot seat and asked to define what are some of the key differences for Checkmate from other solutions out there, what in your mind would be perhaps the top 3 or 4?
Well, I think we've always been very clear with Checkmate that it's about doing one thing, doing one thing well. There are a bunch of health and safety. There's a bunch of health and safety tech or apps or software products out in the market which do a range of things. Checkmate does one thing well, which is managing critical risks on assets that can seriously injure or kill people. So we've been very consistent about being good at that thing. We haven't tried to go too far beyond that because we don't want to dilute the effectiveness of what we've got here. I think the short tag is particularly the LED short tag, which gives complete visibility of red or green. It's done or it's not is really important. I think one of the key things that I see that is probably the most satisfying is often there is a bit of resistance to change, which we talked about earlier. We now see people who are responsible for the checking of assets to actually do it with a spring in their step. It's easy, it's effective, they know that if there's something wrong, they'll get action. I think that's probably one of the key things for me that I see as a real point of difference for this. And if you go back to a site that's installed Checkmate after 3 or 4 months, so it's really bedded down, it's part of the routine, people have been using it for a fair amount of time, that you can just see the culture of health and safety change. It goes from being something that's often slightly outside the business, something that we reluctantly go and engage with now and again, to something that's embedded in the business. We hear stories of audits that used to take all day that now take half an hour. So we use the rest of the day to have positive conversations about, this is what the data's telling us, how can we improve? So I think, the impact on culture and the way it embeds health and safety is a positive thing within the business is pretty satisfying.
That's fantastic. And it's a clear KPI, I suppose, in a way, and return on investment is the fact that if you've got staff with a spring in their step, who I can just picture it when they first see these types of technologies. Often it's, I've got two fat thumbs, you can't expect me to do this. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, right, everyone's using Uber these days. It's not as if this is something completely alien, and clearly because of its user friendliness, because you're getting that feedback loop, it's pushing responsibility across the whole supply chain. You're getting a significant amount of buy-in, which is just excellent. So congratulations. So you've clearly got your eyes and ears on in this developing space where traditional health and safety is evolving, and now we're starting to see some really great technological advancements happening in the marketplace. Beyond the scope of Checkmate, is there anything that you're seeing that is exciting you or has piqued your interest in that space?
Yeah, look, I think there's a couple of things that I've seen in the last 6 to 12 months, which I think are really exciting. I think virtual reality, as it's applied to training for real health and safety and critical risk management, is immensely cool. It's a safe way to test, learn, and educate people. I saw that. That I'm sure you've come across this like yourself, but the virtual reality training for four-course drones, right? I mean, this is a product you can move around, sit people in, train and qualify them, and they haven't been in any position of risk at all. It's fantastic. So I think virtual reality is really interesting. We're starting to see a bunch of stuff now too around the Internet of Things, how you can really proactively manage critical risks with real-time sensors and real-time reporting of what's going on around temperature, air quality, noise, all those sorts of things. So I think those sort of things are enormously exciting. But I think again, it's about some we're seeing a little bit of Checkmate stuff as well. It's just that the way that this technology pulls health and safety into the core of the business rather than leaving it as on the outside or leaving it as a peripheral service, if you will. Embedding it in the day-to-day tech people are using to do their shopping, book flights, look at their bank account. It's just familiar stuff. It's on a phone. It's in your hand.
Yeah.
I don't think we can underestimate how valuable that is for.
And I heard you mention earlier that it's available on both Android and Apple. So I appreciate how much effort would have gone into getting it over the hurdles that Apple introduced a few years ago.
It's really interesting. Hey, like when Checkmate was founded in 2017, we worked with a company out of Hungary who was a specialist in vehicle check and fleet management type stuff. So they were a really proven business, and we based the tech on their platform. But as we grow the business and evolve, and we're now sort of moving beyond New Zealand into, we've got a whole of the UK, Europe, and Australia now.
Yeah.
We took the decision 18 months ago to rewrite the whole thing so that we own the core platform itself, as well as using an external piece of software to support part of what Checkmate does. So it's fully encased now, and adding Apple to that was always like top of the wish list. So to be able to deliver that now is really exciting too.
Yeah, absolutely. It just removes all barriers. I was going to ask you about international development. So congratulations. That's some big milestones there.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Hey, like you have a conversation like what we're having now, and the penny drops pretty quickly for people. It's pretty obvious, and I've been really fortunate to work in export for a long time in my own past life and retained some really amazing friendships and relationships. And one of those is with a guy called Chris Belloc, who is in Sydney. And Chris has just joined the Checkmate team as a shareholder, but also heading up some of the operation for us in the Aussie market. And, Chris is a former, very senior CEO in the Australian business scene. And as a result, the sorts of conversations Chris was able to have with people at all level in big multinational businesses has just been the most amazing thing for us, because if you think about the benefits of this type of technology, it benefits the people in the brain doing the checks and the directors that are sitting around the board table and everybody in between.
Yeah.
And so, it's an exciting time for us as a business now.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then you've just got me thinking as well. So in terms of the support of implementation. So for many of our audience who are in the health and safety space, many are health and safety consultants. Are there opportunities for consultants to perhaps assist with the rollout and embedding of Checkmate?
Yeah, sure. We work with consultants now. I mean, it's critical. I guess for me, I look at it in pretty simple terms and say it's a bit of a mashed potato. And we do a bit of work on creating a structure where we can share information and revenue and commercial goodness between us and health and safety practitioners, because oftentimes what we see is the practitioner will go and review health and safety processes, recommend positive change, but the last 2 or 3% is like, how do you enforce that and make sure that it's, this visibility over the change you're recommending? So, in many ways, health and safety, Checkmate closes the loop on that piece of work for people, and creates a really good opportunity for consultants to create long-term relationships, because there's an inherent connectedness there. So, we welcome that.
Yeah, fantastic. And then finally, I was going to ask you about your thoughts around the rapidly evolving world of AI. Checkmate is generating a significant amount of information. You mentioned, over 1 million checks across various industries and streams. Is there, or has there been any thought around utilizing the power of AI to perhaps distill and boil down some of that information that's been gathered?
Yes, and we are in the early stages of that now. It's fascinating to pass around, particularly now that we have users on the system that have got years worth of data. So it's a real richness of opportunity there. We're in very early stages looking at it now. Well, I think it's one of those things which it's coming up so fast, and you can see it in everyday life now, right? It's embedded into lots of things that are going on. And so we're currently focused heavily on the international piece and on the rollout of our new platform that we talked about briefly before. But hot on the heels of that on the roadmap is out.
Yeah, amazing. I love the story. I mean, really, ultimately, the success story is that you go right back to the beginning. It was a grassroots solution to an issue that had been identified, and has consistently maintained that keep it simple ethos, and now taking on the international market. It's really great to hear.
It really is. Okay, we should arrange a few months' time to get Chris on here as well and talk about what he's seen in Australia. It's what we do in the early part. So
yeah, absolutely. Yes, it's kind of cutting edge stuff. Yeah, I agree. I think it would be invaluable. So in terms of those who would like to know more about Checkmate, where would they best go and have a look?
Yeah, the best way to start is looking at our website. It's pretty. We've got some pretty good content now on the website. So that's Checkmate.group. Checkmate.group, and the easiest way to really understand what Checkmate can do and how it works, there's a bunch of gone with a landing page there. There's a bunch of little short video case studies of what we've done. We've got pack and save, we've got might attend on there, we've got various things. So very easy way to see interaction, see the actual users talking about their experience, how the transition has been, and what the benefits are, right? So probably that's a great way to start. In fact, anybody that asks me about it, I've written straight to the videos. It's just easy.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, and when you've got testimonials and really happy customers, it makes life that much easier. Fantastic, Phil. Thank you so much for your time today.
No problem. It's been a pleasure. Look forward to talking to you about it.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll catch up again in the foreseeable, and we'll find out more about how it's going over in Aussie.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right, all the best. Cool. That's awesome, Phil. Thank you so much. There's heaps of stuff to work there with. Because I was just thinking as we were talking, I can run this through a couple of different systems and turn this into long form and short form content. Also maybe some blog posts and content for the website too. So it's awesome. Thank you.
All right, mate. Yeah, well, thank you. I was a bit concerned when we're all Sam decided he wasn't going to hire me anymore. I thought, Well, who does he